Hey, everybody. Gather around.
Hey, everybody.
You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money? Who can take your money? With a twinkle in their eye. A twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy.
The government. Oh, the government can.
Who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees? Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. Oh, the government can. And the government can, cause they mix it up for lives and make it all taste good. The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Healthcare, climate change solutions. The lower wage becomes institution. Who can give a bailout?
Who can give a bailout?
Make the founding fathers roll over in the grave. The government. Oh, the government can. And the government can come to mix it up well, I'll make it all taste good. The government takes everything we make to power hungry demolition. Their economics are dishes. We will have to eat our dishes. Oh, who can be a failure
In so many ways. The empire gave herself a raise. The government. Oh, the government can. And the government can do it, make it up to make it all taste good. And your old Sam said, knows it makes it make it all taste good.
and feel so good because the
The government says I could.
Thomas Jefferson once said, all tyranny
folks.
needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent. Don't remain silent. You just jumped in the Pickle Barrel with author, speaker, commentator, and show host Bill Pickle.
It's Friday, and that means it is going to be freaky here in the Pickle Barrel this morning, even more freaky than normal, maybe. Just perhaps. But who knows what we might do here in the Pickle Barrel. You never know from day to day. Actually, I think I could probably be very truthful and say you never know from moment to moment what's going to take place in the Pickle Barrel. I mean, we get on some topics sometime. They may go a little while, but you never know what's going to be said. You never know who's going to be involved in the conversation. You never know what the comments and the arguments will be. And today, I think we have some topics that we're going to discuss that are going to be just those type of topics. And I'd like to invite each and every one of you to join us in the Pickle Barrel this morning and call in, take part in the conversation in the chat rooms that we have, and, particularly call in. I love our chats when we have people on the show live, and we just have our round table discussions. You know, we've had as many as 3, 4 at a time, 5, I think we did one time. And, you know, here lately, though, you know, y'all been kind of quiet. You know, we've only had like maybe 1 at a time, every once in a while 2, not counting myself, okay? Because I'm automatically in there, you know. But I like those round table discussions. I'd like for us to have a conference where maybe we'd have about 10 or 12 and just have one day of ramble. And that's what we do. We ramble, we talk, we discuss. We get upset sometimes. We get sarcastic. Quite often. That's just my nature. But anyway, we do that. Hey, do call in 712-770-4160 and then put in the magic pin number, 263151, then the pound number. And then if you want to talk, hit *6. Okay. And you'll be in there and you can just chat. You can stay on the whole 2 hours if you want to. Okay. We do have chat rooms available too, though, to you. Facebook Live, right where we are right now, where you're looking at this pretty face of mine. See, I told you I could be sarcastic. And also at AmericanPatriotRadio.com, our live radio program right there. Be sure to get in there. And hey, folks, when you get over there, hit the joins, join. And that way you'll be up to date every time we do something. You know, if we have something going on, special guests, special programs, just commentary, you'll be in there. And guess what? We welcome your commentary back. We do. We like it. Unlike some people, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I do want to invite you really to take part in the conversations, and we're going to have a lot of fun here on Freaky Friday. And let's get started. Okay, first thing, short little run through history. Let's see. 1856, a band of raging settlers in California killed Yokut Indians. The settlers had heard upon rumors of Yokut atrocities. Well, they're mean. Let's go get them. Bam, boom, out of the way. Yeah. 1862, President Abraham Lincoln appoints Union General Henry Halleck to the position of General-in-Chief of the Union Army. You know, he had, let's see if I can think here. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 generals of the army, I believe, in that war. It may have been more, but I can think of 4. You know, leadership don't work, change it. Hey, that's what you got to do. Ask Trump, right? He knows how to change it. Let's see. I couldn't help myself there. I'm sorry. Lordy. 1904, General Lothar von Trotha defeats the Heroes tribe, Waterberg, South Africa. 1906. This is not on my list here, but I just remembered that from reading it last night. This day in history is the first time they had a talking film. It was patented on this day in history, the talking film. Man, has that come a long ways. Okay, back to my notes here. All right, let's see here. Babe Ruth hits his 500th major league home run against the Cleveland Indians in 1929. You know, a lot of people have hit home runs against the Cleveland Indians. I'm sorry, Cleveland, for saying that, but they have. Soviet bombers in 1941 raid Berlin but caused very little damage. 1942, the German submarine U-73 attacks Malta-bound British convoy and sinks the Eagle, one of the world's first aircraft carriers. Her Majesty's ship, the Eagle. That was a British ship. German troops abandoned Italy in 1944 as Allies close in on the historic city of Florence, Italy. Oh, here we go. Watts. Y'all remember this? The Watts situation in California? Well, some of you may not. 1965. There was a very small clash, fight, whatever you want to call it, between the California Highway Patrol and two black kids. It set off a 6 days of rioting in the Watts area of Los Angeles. And as far as I can remember, that was probably the first really big riot within the continental United States with racism being involved, prejudice, whatever you want to call it. I think that might have been the first one that I really paid much attention to. But 1972, the last ground forces withdraw from Vietnam. Pope Paul VI was buried this day in 1978. Al-Qaeda formed at a meeting in Peshawar, Pakistan, this day in 1988 as an official band of folks. 1989, Voyager 2, our little spaceships out there just going anywhere and everywhere today still. Voyager 2 discovered 2 partial rings around Neptune. NATO assumed command of international peacekeeper forces in Afghanistan in its first major operation outside Europe in 2003. Some of the things that happened there. Let's see some famous people born on this day real quick. Carrie James Bond, songwriter who wrote I Love You Truly, A Perfect Day. Let's see here. James Bryan Herrick, physician who first described sickle cell anemia. Alex Haley was born on this day in 1921. You know who he is, genealogist. He did that, Roots. Yes, Roots. Jerry Falwell. Now, there's a couple you could put in a room and have some conversations, wouldn't it? Alex Haley and Jerry Falwell. Man, can you imagine? I can't. Also, one of the most famous wrestlers in all history, who got more famous after he left the ring, Hulk Hogan, was born on this day in 1953. And you might remember that he was a wrestler. He was also an actor. You know, he was in a couple of movies. One of them, Assault on Devil's Island, was one that I remember off the top of my head. But he was the Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion in 1984 through 1989. I mean, he was 1989. He was quite the guy. So anyway, just some of the things that happened on this day in history. Let's get back talking about what's going on around us today. Let's go to the chat room here. Neil has got, Neil is ready, had a series as well. Yes, he did. Oh, gosh. Neil and I have been talking back and forth on chat this morning already. You know, I was telling him that my wife wanted a smoked pork butt for her birthday dinner, but her birthday was Wednesday, and I had a full day Wednesday and Thursday. I just couldn't do it. So I told her, I'll tell you what, let's have a hot night date on Friday, and I'll smoke some butt, and you get home, we'll just have a good dinner. Might even break my diet and have me a couple of adult beverages. God, I love margaritas. And I hadn't had one in a long time. But anyway, so we're going to celebrate her birthday today. And although it was Thursday, we did go out to dinner that night, you know, store-bought crap. But, you know, anyway, we're restaurant stuff. I'm cooking the pork butt here. And so, oh, by the way, Dave, at the break, I might have to take a minute longer because I need to go out and check it and make sure it's not dry and overheated. But anyway, see, I told you it was a Freaky Friday. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Neil says, she's a cheap date. Mine wanted diamonds. Well, I tell you what, Neil, little story here. When I was in the newspaper business, she wanted me to quit. She said, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. You got all this equipment, you can get into landscaping, which I did. And when I retired from the newspaper, I did have my own landscaping company for a number of years. And, anyway, she she said, that's all I want for my anniversary. That's all I want. And I said, I don't know. I don't know, Susan. I don't know if I can do that, but let me think about it. Well, on our anniversary in New York, we're sitting there at the restaurant there, the Garden, and the big park. It just went blank. Anyway, Central Park. And I asked her, I said, now, Susan, I really didn't do much for your anniversary, our anniversary, but, are you sure you really want me to retire? Because I'm thinking about doing that. And, if that'll make you happy and that's really all you want for your anniversary, I might do it. She says, Bill, that's all I want. And I said, are you sure? Yes. This trip and you retiring was all I asked for. And I said, okay. Well, I tell you what, I turned in my papers the day before yesterday. I thought you had given her 10 diamond rings, Neil. So after that, she was so happy and everything. And I said, now, since you told me that's for sure, that's what you wanted, that's all you wanted, I guess I can take this opal and diamond ring back that I've got here in my pocket. And I pulled it out. She says, oh, no, I'll keep it. I'll accept it. I will. It's so sweet. And she has not gone more than 2 days in 10 years now without wearing that ring. It's in the shop right now. I'm getting the ring fixed. It was getting kind of thin in the bottom there, and they're putting a new silver, redoing it for her. And I told her that would be part of her Christmas present, getting that fixed. So anyway, see how weird Friday gets. We talk about anything and everything. So anyway, all right, folks. Well, let's get started on the news and other things that are happening today. Okay, Korea. I have heard so much about Korea. I am about to vomit Korea. And, but anyway, let's talk about it just a little bit this morning. I really don't know. I think that we got two gentlemen here, and I'm using that word loosely. I think we got two gentlemen here in a tit-for-tat spitting contest, and I'm not sure who's going to win. I'm not sure if either one of them takes any type of wild action. Anybody will win. I heard some people talking yesterday asking, well, there's winners and there's losers in everything. Well, I think in this situation, I think what we stand to have is a lot of losers with very minor wins, if any wins. Just my humble opinion. Now, everybody says, well, this is not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be like the Senate, the Dems and the Republicans fighting to get things done. They're going to fight. They're going to walk away from the table, nothing done. Well, you know what? In this particular case, I am not so sure that's not a good thing. I think sometimes two people call each other's bluff if both of them back off and nothing takes place and they think, okay, we tried that. I guess we need to sit back and behave and mind our own business. Wouldn't that be a wonderful ending? I'm thinking that would be a wonderful ending. No more war. No more loss of death in that part of the nation, world. No radiation encircling the globe. No billions of dollars, multi-million dollars, rockets and missiles being sent up. I can just see so many positives of these two just saying, okay, I called your bluff, you called my bluff, we're both chicken, aren't we? Seriously, I mean, I know I'm being sarcastic and I'm being silly about this, but, I really, really, really hope that that's the way it's ending. Neil says, well, China has waded in it too now. They realize it's serious. Walking away is not a good thing. They realize it's serious. Walking away is not a good thing. They have done that for decades. And yes, they have. Yes, they have. Now then, if this idiot, Noko, NOKA, that's his, okay. If this idiot does that, well, Katie, bar the door. I hate to say it. I hate to say it like that, but Katie, bar the door. And if he pulls that silly, stupid stunt, if he does do that silly, stupid, ignorant stunt, then I guess he deserves what he gets. But do the people of North Korea and South Korea? If we go into a nuke situation, those countries are not that big. And, the so-called fallout from that is something that is bad. Is bad. And Neil, you reading my mind this morning. This third time already this morning we're on the same track. This one more time, I think we'll be on a record for so early. But what happens if this clown actually has a rocket, a missile, whatever you want to call it, and it does not land in the ocean, or it lands so close to the island? It don't have to have a direct hit with these type things, What if they do accidentally, and we're going to say it would be an accident, Neil did too. What if by accident it does hit Guam? Oh, Lord, oh, Lord. Lord, 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 Lord. Well, North Korea is made it quite clear that they're laughing at Trump. They're dismissing what he is saying. They're saying that the threat of taking us out, a catastrophic attack, things like that, he says it's a bunch of baloney. My words, not his. Donald Trump is giving this threat of fire and fury more than once. He says that our Korean buddy over there says that Trump is bereft of reason, has no reason, in other words. And, if he comes back, he's prepared to come back too. So here we go. Ping pong, boom, ba 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 boom. But you know what? We've had table tennis matches where Americans have won tennis matches with that countries in that part of the world, and they've had tennis matches where they have beat us. So we don't know, do we? Don't know, do we? He is shooting very bad missiles, is using old Iraqi Scuds. Saddam couldn't hit anything with them either. A lot of people, take advantage of machine guns, and remember old Thompson guns and all those type of things, greasers. You don't just aim and shoot those. You kind of spray them around, in the rapid fire. And, you don't have to be a good shot to hit something. All you got to do is get close enough so that at least one of those shots will hit it. And who knows what this idiot has in mind? Who knows? Well, I tell you, if there is military action near the Pacific territory of Guam, I think that we may be in deep doo-doo. I think we may be in deep doo-doo. And I hope we don't. I hope we're not. I hope we're not. I pray that we're not. We do not need another war. But I will tell you this, if it's brought to us, what do you do? What do you do? Well, you got to do your thing. You got to do it. You got to do your thing. And that's one of the terrible things about an attack. If you're attacked and you do not respond, that kind of sets a tempo with the rest of the world too, doesn't it? It does, it does, it does. And when you have that tempo, when you have that fight, or you don't have that fight, you can be a loser. I just wish there was a way, a legitimate, very effective way we could take care of the situation without going nuclear. That's what I wish. Now then, you're right again, Neil. China has threatened to get into this mix. It says they're saying, and you got it right here. Thank you, sir. They're saying that they're going to stay out of this. You know, even if we shot first, China would stay out of it, or if they can't afford to lose U.S. trades, you know, which is a perfect example. And matter of fact, does China really need to get involved in it? I wonder what the world would say if China took the Neil, we're on a record. I wonder what the world would say if China took the first step. Said enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're at threat 2 here. We're your next door neighbor. You know, what happens to you could filter over to us also. Strange situation. Well, you know, North Korea did issue its own warning that suggested it could attack Guam, and they would attack Guam if we don't back off. So now we're going to have to figure out what Secretary of State Tillerson's going to do. We got to figure out what our Secretary of Defense is going to do. We got to figure out what Congress is going to do. We got to figure out what President Trump's going to do. All of them is going to have a piece of the action here. All of them should have a piece of the action going on right now. This is not a funny situation. It is not a funny situation. You know, I don't know if y'all saw this last couple of days. You know, there's a certain senator that's from South Carolina that are not good buddies with Donald Trump. He guesses who that is. Lindsey Graham. They're not good buddies at all. But over the last couple of days, there's been 2 or 3 times. Now, everybody says Lindsey Graham's a war hawk. He loves war. He's big on action. Well, you know what? He's saying right now he supports Trump's actions. More or less saying you're on the right road. We need to call their bluff, blah, 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 blah. And by God, if they do something, we need to take them down. Those are my words. I'm not as political as some of them, or I just say how I see it. He said basically they had, he says Trump wasn't bluffing with his threat of fire and fury. And, Trump has basically drawn a red line. I like the way they talk about that red line, that line that was drawn in the sand at the Alamo. Everybody's got a line now. But anyway, I still have issues, though, with people saying that they have no business having nuclear weapons. We can have them. Russia can have them. Other countries may or may not have them. But I still have an issue of countries telling other countries they can't have them when they got stockpiles that could wipe out the earth practically. Certainly changed the course of things that they were scattering them out. Kind of freaky. Kind of freaky. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Korea. All right, you know, there's another one coming out that a lot of discussion on. Afghanistan. You know, McCain is back in force, and he's saying we need to force a Senate debate on Afghanistan war strategy. He calls for more troops. You know, we have not had any announcements of any kind of war strategy in a long time. We haven't had anybody really doing any major efforts in that war. It doesn't appear to me on the surface that there's nothing going on that has really changed the direction of that war. Or, you know, even, or are we just policemen today? You know, we hear very little action anymore. There may be more than we hear of, but people are tired of hearing about it. Who knows? And, you know, I think that, when are we going to stop being the world's policeman? You know, we got thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of troops and peacekeepers all over this globe. McCain said Thursday he'll try to force a debate on Capitol Hill, offering his own plan that would force a troop increase. You know, the man from Arizona is what I call him. The man from Arizona, you know, who is chairman of the Armed Services Committee, by the way, didn't lay out any particular legislation at this time. He just says it needs to be talked about. They need to come up with a plan. Evidently, he doesn't have one right now. I'm sure he's got something in his pocket somewhere. Neil, good cartoon. Trump is a dictator, and here's the head of McCain in a bomber, in a jet bomber, dropping bombs. Gosh, we know his plans. Bomb around. You know, it's what that song was. Remember that song? Except this time it'd be bomb. Afghanistan. Oh gosh. Well, I tell you what. You know, there is a lot of debate behind the scenes, I'm sure, about this. And I'm sure there's a lot of talk about it, not just debating, but some of them sitting there saying, you know, I really don't know. Do we? I don't know. You know, but we can do force. We can send more troops. We can do more sanctions. We can do more trade embargoes and things like that. But folks, I have to ask this question. You know, my entire adult life, I have been witnessing these issues in that area of the world. Experts will tell you these issues is going on long before we were even thought of. Long before, you know, we're talking biblical times. You know, those people do not know how to have peace. They do not know what peace is. They are worse than we are about trying to meddle into other people's business in society, cultures. They're much worse than us. And they've got a lot more practice. What makes us think that they're going to change their ways no matter what we do? They may change them for a few years. They may change them for a decade. But folks, this is ingrown. This is their religion. This is their goal or their duty to Allah or whatever. What makes us think that we are going to change that? Neil says those times have nothing to do with our meddling in their biz. No, it does not, Neil. It really doesn't. But the point I'm trying to make, nothing's changed and nothing will change. It's a bad situation. Bad situation. And whether or not the president is interested in this is up in the air, too. Now, reports say that he has some very, very pointed questions. He says, I think some very, very pointed questions, and they are good questions right now that we need to be asking. And Secretary Tillerson told reporters that earlier this week, that we've got questions we need to answer before we can decide what we want to do, if we want to do anything. You know, one thing that McCain said that I do agree with. America is adrift in Afghanistan. I don't know if anybody knows for sure what our job is over right there right now. What are we trying to do? What do we need to do? We're just there. We're just there. You know, when the Senate and House come back together, they have their defense committees, and they're going to have their discussions and stuff. You know, it'll be time to, on the agenda, defense is there. It's going to be interesting to see how all this takes place and what takes place. Neil says it's pretty impressive. Lived all over the Middle East. Enjoyed majority of places. Photos have been there 6 months. I know they figure out we need a change. Where the hell have they been for the last decade? Isn't that the truth? Same place. Same place. And you know your key word there is they figure out we need a change. Now they got to do something about it, don't they? Now they need to do something about it, if they will. You know, by all reports that I've seen and read over the last several days and last several weeks, it sounds to me like even that whole conflict is kind of at a standstill, kind of at a draw. Nobody's doing anything major. You have a little thing here, a little thing there, a little bomb over here, some gunfire, stabbing over here, things like this. But as far as major conflict of any kind, large numbers, it's kind of like okay. It's kind of like the streets of Chicago. Oh, Neil, man, kind of like Chicago, Neil says. It's exactly right. Oh, mercy. Oh, gosh. But, I think that we need to think about it. The Inspector General has told us over and over again that we're committed to some very large commitments, like $714 billion for fighting that war and reconstruction. What could that $714 billion do for us here at home if we didn't have to worry about what to do over there? Oh, well, that's beside the point, right? That's beside the point. One thing we got to do, and let's check over here and see if there's any comments over here. We got all those covered. We got you covered. We're doing good this morning on comments. Okay, another thing that's going on behind the scenes, and some people say it's behind the scenes. I don't think it's that far behind the scenes, but I do think there are some going on that we don't see. But for the majority, we all know that Trump and have a little internal tit for tat, a little squabble, little little who's minding the store, who's not doing their share, blah, 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 blah. Well, both of them got their fingers pointing at each other. You know, it's kind of like an Old West theater. Just think about the cowboys out in the street having a gun, a draw, you know, walking down the street, and here these two, McConnell and Trump, they're pulling out their guns, except their fingers. They're pointing fingers, not guns. They're pointing fingers. You're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You're crazy. You've been here for years and years and years, decades, and you ain't done nothing yet. Dun, dun, baby, baby, you ain't done nothing yet. But anyway, got me in the mood for a song there. You know, that's what they're doing. You know, you said, I said, you didn't do it. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it either. Well, nobody's doing anything. You know, except Twitter. I mean, we got Twitter handled. Oh, man, do we have Twitter handled. And, but you don't see McConnell on there that much, do you? Don't see McConnell on there. Be honest with you, I think McConnell's afraid to. I think McConnell's afraid to get involved in a tit for tat like that with Donald Trump on Twitter. I mean, it'll be there for the world to see. Be no hiding what you're saying or what you're doing or what you know, that's the one thing about Trump, you know. God bless his cotton picking heart, you know, as they say in the South. There's no questioning what he's doing. I mean, he'll let you know in a minute. I mean, he doesn't keep no secrets in that extent. I'm sure he's got a few hidden somewhere, but I don't know where they're at. They're all over social media. And I think that this conflict between the two of them and criticizing each other openly in the news, criticizing them in the talk shows, criticizing them when they're talking to reporters, I see nothing to gain from that, folks. First of all, Trump is not going to back down. Trump will not back down. I think we have a clear understanding of that. Trump is not going to back down. Trump is Trump. Trump is Trump. Now then, that's what people asked for. At least enough of them to get him voted in. Between them and Electoral College, you know, hey, he got in. Now he's president. We're going to have to work with him. That don't mean we're going to have to bend over and kiss his shoes, but we're going to have to at least listen to him and talk with him and try to work something out on some of these issues if we're going to get anything done. Now, I don't know any nicer way of putting it because, you know, if I said what I really think, I'd really be in trouble with everybody. But I think some of you old farts up there in D.C. need to understand there is a new dog in town and he's got a bite. And he's got a lot of supporters, active, outgoing, loud supporters that are pushing him forward. I don't know too many of you that have anywhere near the following and push by your supporters that President Trump does. Maybe you ought to listen to the people. Again, I keep saying that is a novel idea. Sooner or later, someone's going to listen to me and do it. But this little fuss is going on and on and on and on and on. But I tell you what, you know, did y'all see the number of tweets that went out from President Trump yesterday? I lost count. I mean, it seemed like every breath I heard my phone going beep, 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 beep. Oh, Lord. Well, I will tell you this. I don't chase them, Neil, you know, but I do get notified, and you'd be surprised. Seriously. I probably get 500-600 emails, not quite as many tweets, but it'll be in the hundreds, that I delete. I get so many of them. I just look who they're from, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Look who they're from, the basic context of them, and doop, they go. Just tell you right now, since I got on air, and I had all my messages checked before we got on air, and right now I have 20 tweets, 33 Facebook messages, and 122 emails. And I guarantee you probably 100 of those will go in the garbage before I even look at them. I just look and see who they're from, the basic context of it, and move forward. But at least I have the opportunity if I want to, right? Okay. Well, when asked about what McConnell was thinking and some of his responses to the president's tweeting yesterday, a McConnell spokesman said that no comment, just declined any response to Trump's criticisms and said their work would continue. Here's a quote. It said, the leader has repeatedly spoken about the path forward on repealing and replacing Obamacare on the Senate floor, at media availabilities, and in Kentucky. All that needs to be discussed, basically, is what she was saying. But it's going to be very interesting to see where this war goes. And it is a war of will. It is a war of stubbornness. It is a war of two gentlemen, which realistically, as bad as it looks, they have been pretty gentle, I think, in this conversation. It could be a heck of a lot worse. But right now, I think they're doing okay for themselves. So we'll see what takes place there. Now, as these attacks escalate, let's just presume for a second. Let's just presume for a second these attacks continue. You know, how much does Trump have to gain if McConnell does not reply or make comments about what is being said by Trump? If he just stays out of it, ignores it, puts his fingers in his ears, whatever, puts blinders on. Here, he can use some of my Eclipse sunglasses. By God, you can't even see nothing. Put those glasses on. And, I can see more light right now with my eyes shut than I can with those darn glasses on. I mean, it is blackout. And they're built that way on purpose, right? But anyway, what happens if Trump does just ignore everything? I would not be surprised that he would do that. I'd be shocked. I can't see him ignoring it. But anyway, I don't think he can. I don't think he will. He's got his thumb on him, and, it's like an open wound. And he's going to torture McConnell. He's going to stick more in there and twist it and torture him. It's going to be non-physical torture, mental torture. And I just don't see Trump letting up. I really, really don't. He's lost, apparently. Now, he has made comments about him. He just hasn't said that he has absolutely lost faith and confidence in him. But, folks, he has. It's obvious. It's obvious. Now, he has hinted at it, but he's never come out and said this guy don't know nothing. He's ignorant. I don't have any confidence in him. Blah, 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 blah. But he has made one comment, one little comment that set the stage. He left that door open on whether or not to ask McConnell to step down. That is a big move. Nothing else he said, nothing else he's done sends the message better than him leaving that door open. He didn't have to say anything. All he had to say is, the door is open. All right? The door is open. All right, we got a message here. It's a picture of a T-shirt. It says, if you can read this, I voted Republican. Sorry. What will $46,545,000, is there an extra zero supposed to be there? Get you? Excessive expectations. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Oh, Lordy. Such jovialness around us today. But anyway, sarcasm there too, right? But anyway, I think that it is very clear there is no love lost there. I think that there was, here it is right here. There was a quote that I put down here that Trump said. He said, I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get repeal and replace done, and if he doesn't get taxes done, meaning cuts and reform, and if he doesn't get a very easy one to get done, infrastructure, he doesn't get them done, then you can ask me that question. Was talking about, have you lost confidence in him? I think this pretty well sums it up. Let's go through that again real quick. Okay, if he doesn't get repeal and replace done, let's see, over 10 years now, people have been trying to do that. Right or wrong, 10 years, still not done. McConnell has been in that fracas for how long? Oh, 10 years. Nothing done. If he doesn't get taxes done, meaning cuts and reform, well, there's been all kinds of movement on taxes, not in our favor, but there's been movement. If he doesn't get it, a very easy one done, like infrastructure, don't even get me started. You know where I feel about all this infrastructure crap that's going on or not going on. The roads are crap. And if he doesn't get that done, I think Trump's going to have to ask that. We'll be asked that question again pretty darn soon. Because a lot of these things are supposed to be on the billet to be addressed after the summer recess. And that's almost over, folks. Let's see what takes place. I bet you we'll know within the next 60 to 90 days for sure how much will be addressed. Oh, mercy, 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 mercy. You know, oh, hey, Brian, how are you? Let me make one more comment and I'll get right with you here. There was a one more comment I want to bring up that came out late yesterday afternoon. Trump put out another jab, and at the majority leader, he said he called him to push the Senate not just on repeal and replace, but also on a pair of other White House legislative priorities, and left it right there. So we'll all be in the air what that's going to be. Good morning, Brian. How are you in Pennsylvania?
Never had a bad day in my life.
Now, come on, never? Have you ever had appendicitis?
Maybe one or two.
Maybe one or two. Okay. Well, you survived. That's the main point. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. I think, yeah, I'd love to see McConnell replaced. Of course, the problem is I think, almost every Republican senator is pretty much useless. And,
so who are you going to replace him with?
Trump Republicans. I just really feel more and more like we have a third-party president.
We do.
Because he's got the opposition party, and then he's got his own party that seems like they're putting screws to them, and at every turn, they're throwing up roadblocks.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even really defending him on the whole Russian collusion thing. And
Mm-hmm.
you see so few of them ever defend him or say anything positive about him. So I've been an independent for years. This is the first time in a presidential election I had voted for a candidate from either of the two major parties since 2000. And, they need people like me if they want to be able to win elections in the future. And people like me, if they're looking at everything going on and saying, you know what, if Trump doesn't get his 8 years, we're blaming the Republican Party, and we're going to go back to the third-party candidates. And people like me will never, ever vote for the Republican Party again. So they should really, I wish they'd really just knock this crap off and just come to their senses.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Brian, I for one, as I said a couple of days ago, or it might have been last week, I don't remember, I do believe that we have a third party now, as you said. I don't know what to call it. We could call it the trumpet party, the trumpeters, the Trumpocrats. Trumpet. That's too hard to say. Trumpocrats. Okay. Well, there's an alternative. But but what are we going to do about it? I mean, obviously, maybe my Republican friends don't get mad at me, but maybe we need a third party. Maybe since they can't get their act together and the Democrats can't get their act together, they won't talk or work with each other. Maybe this third party made up of the left and right of center on both sides could become a party that could get something accomplished.
I think the only way really is just to have loads of primary challenges for these establishment Republicans. That's really the only way.
And Democrats. Let's put it both ways.
And Democrats.
Yes, I think both of them need to have a house cleaning.
Yeah. I think the only way are primary challenges because, third parties just never seem to work. I think it's just you have to have a hostile takeover of the Republican Party. And I think you have to have primary challenges for people like the Jeff Flakes and the Paul Ryans and whenever Mitch McConnell's up. I think that's just the only way. I think enough of these people have to lose their jobs because it's clear either they're beholden to just their donors, or they have a complete lack of awareness and live in a bubble, or they're stupid. But whatever it is, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get that the Republican Party is in deep trouble. They've got to make changes. And it just shocks me that they don't get what the election represented, which was a complete and utter rejection of the establishment, where you had probably close to $1 billion in the primary spent on anti-Trump ads, people that were anti-Trump, and they got their clock cleaned. I mean, it wasn't even close. And then a lot of people that were anti-establishment, by the way, that not only did they vote for Trump, but they may have cast a vote for, whether you liked him or didn't, Cruz or Carson. So you had in the primary, Republican primary, 2/3 to 3/4 of the vote spent on what people perceived to be anti-establishment candidates.
Right.
I mean, they completely and utterly rejected the establishment, and yet the establishment acts like Jeb Bush won the election.
Well, you know what? Now that you say that, I can see why you did. That's not a bad analogy there, Brian. Not bad at all.
I mean, where are people in Congress lining up behind Trump on trade, immigration, foreign policy, infrastructure, all these major things that he wants to do? You don't see it hardly at all. I mean, I could see sabotage. I mean, it's like they want Trump to get impeached so the party can go back to the way it was. Sorry, maybe I don't need to call it your show anymore because I repeat the same points over and over again. But I mean, it's true. And every single day I see evidence that backs up what I'm saying, that the Republican Party would be just as well if Trump were to get impeached.
Yeah. Brian, let me just say a couple of things here before we go to the break real quick. Again, you call in right at break, so excuse me for having to do this, but I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think that the major parties, we have more than one party now, but they're insignificant, folks. I hate to say that in case you're one of them, but these other parties right now are literally insignificant because they really don't get anything done. They're getting a lot of donations from people that want you to do something, but you haven't grown. And, anyway, don't get me started. But I do think that a third party right now would legitimately have a shot, depending on some factors. And we'll talk about those after the break. Okay, folks, I hate to do it, but we are at the top of the hour, and I do need to get a break in here. One, I don't want my hand slapped. Two, I got to visit another room in the house here and get some water. And so we'll be right back here in the Pickle Barrel in just a couple of minutes, 3 at the most. Don't run off because we got a heck of a lot more to go over on Freaky Friday. We'll be right back here in the Pickle Barrel at AmericanPatriotRadio.com. Hey, I am. And I tell you what, it is looking good. Oh yeah, I got a pork butt out there I put on this morning. I've been up since 4 a.m. getting that sucker ready and getting the smoker all to the right temperature and got it out there. It is looking you know what, I even took a picture of it earlier. Let's see if I can find that picture and strut my stuff here. Yeah, I don't, if you're not on Facebook Live, you can't see this. I might try to share it later, but right now, look at that. Look at that. Woo! Well, it's kind of too much light. There we go. Look at that. Didn't it? Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Got hunger in my tummy. But yeah, we do, Dave. Thank you, sir. All right, well, let's get back going here. Okay, Brian, you still there?
I'm still here, bro.
You're still here. Good, good. All right. So you're sitting in D.C. I can see you now sitting in the Senate. Have you ever thought about running for office of any kind?
No.
No? Why?
No, because I love the work that I do.
Uh-huh.
And I feel that I do meaningful work, and I get to, make a decent living, and I get to help people.
Yeah.
So that has a lot of meaning to me.
Do you mind if I ask you what kind of work you do?
Health services.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I really love what I do. I love that I get to interact with people on a daily basis instead of sitting at a desk. I even don't mind all the driving.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Good for you.
What I do. How many people can say that they have a job that they enjoy?
I do.
So,
yeah. I've only had one job I did not enjoy, and I wanted to leave, but the boss there was very good to me. It wasn't him. It was the job I had. Okay. And, he, and I'd mentioned to him one time that, I just didn't know if this job was for me. And he says, well, Bill, I'm going to ask you a personal favor. He says, hang in here at least another 90 days. And I said, Gary, I'll do that for you. I'll do that for you since you've taught me a lot, and I'll give you that trust. 90 days, he turned in his resignation, and he left and started a brand new mortgage company. And guess who he called about 30 days later saying, Bill. And that's how I got started in the mortgage business and became exec VP. We did all right for ourselves until that savings and loan market hit the bottom, boom, back in the 80s. Anyway, so hang in there, dude. My wife, she's in the healthcare industry. She's with a McLeod Regional Health, McLeod Regional, just went blank. McLeod Regional Health. And, they got hospitals, they got 5 or 6 different hospitals around this part of South Carolina. And she's over all the credentialing of the doctors, safety, and all that kind of stuff. So she's on the road quite a bit. She has to go to each of those hospitals once a week at least. And as she, as I put it, share her wealth of knowledge and encouragement before she bails out. She's got a couple of years. She can retire at full benefits. And I think, well, who knows? Knowing her, she may be there another 10 years. She likes it so much. All right. So how much longer are we going to have these Republicans and Democrat people that are swimming in the swamp there?
I don't know. You know, I feel like Trump's the only one trying to drain the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the Republicans go, you know, I don't know. It's anybody's guess what's going to happen in the midterms. The good news is, I mean, all the measurables of the economy are better.
Yeah.
You know, we're not at war with Russia and Syria. We would have been if Hillary Clinton got elected.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all the measurables are good, but then you have it's like you have his own party working against him. I don't know how voters are going to take that. The voters that voted for Trump are going to be real motivated to come out and vote in the midterms for people like Paul Ryan, you know, or Jeff Flake, or a lot of the others who haven't lifted a finger to help them.
Yeah.
You know, I'll speak for me. We have two senators. One's a Republican, and in the past election, I did not go to the Senate race because I felt my senator was an establishment guy and would, you know, actively work against Trump. And I don't know that he's actively worked against him, but I never heard him make a positive statement that could be considered any kind of endorsement of anything he's done. And we have a Republican congressman who was kind of another Trumper. And so, obviously, if you're a congressman, you're up for election every 2 years. So I look at my Republican congressman, Pat Meehan, and I think, well, what's my incentive to vote for Pat Meehan? The guy's a never Trumper. He's never made any statement whatsoever in support of Trump or in support of any of his major policies or against the Russian witch hunt thing. So what's my incentive if the person I agree with the most on the issues is Trump and my own Republican congressman is actively worked against them? So, like, why would I be motivated to go out and vote for the midterms for somebody like that?
That's a good question for a lot of people. So they end up doing nothing at all. A lot of them don't even go out. I'd say that was why the majority of the people don't vote. They just don't know. Well, first of all, they don't have any idea anything about either one of them. So I guess probably it's best they do stay home. I don't know. But
the reason I'm giving you, Bill, it's not laziness. It's not, you know, typical reasons that you hear. I mean, I feel that, you know, in a lot of these cases, you have a valid reason.
Yeah. Do you think maybe? Yeah. Do you think maybe stepping out and voting for the lesser two evils might be better than not doing anything at all?
Well, I don't know what the lesser two evil is.
You know, Brian, good point. What is the lesser of two evils? Oh, gosh.
I mean, look, Bill, we've talked about this many times. I agree with you with this. I believe in collaboration. I believe that 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. But in this instance, or let's say, for the sake of argument, Lindsey Graham was up for re-election in 2018. And running against a Democrat, which is, you know, the Democrats are just a bunch of fascists. But I mean, how would you determine if you had a Senate race in South Carolina and you had Lindsey Graham running against a Democrat, who the lesser two evils would be when Lindsey Graham has actively worked against Trump? And I'd be willing to bet behind the scenes that, you know, he's maybe actively working to get Trump impeached.
Well, here. We're going to use your example, Lindsey Graham, okay? I personally, there's a lot about Lindsey Graham I like, and there's quite a bit I don't like. But he's still better than anyone I've seen that's run against him, okay? In my opinion. But here's the situation, I think. If there was a better choice, as well as I know, and I do like Lindsey Graham, as you know, as a person, probably more than I do as a politician, but I still like basically I like him, okay? Let's just leave it at that. But if there was someone that ran against him that I truly felt would be better than him in the Senate, that I felt that would do better listening to the people and carrying the people's wishes to Washington and following those through. I'd have to say, Lindsay, I'm sorry, but, it may be time for that change. Because shouldn't we always want the best we can get and the ones that appear that they would do what we, the people, want them to do? Shouldn't we always have our eye on that no matter who's in there?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, again, everything I'm saying, none of this is like me wanting blind loyalty. But what I would like is a sense that, the parties working with him, on and then finding common ground instead of actively working against him. And that the party is actively defending him against this, McCarthyite witch hunt. So none of what I'm saying is a suggestion that you have to line up 100% behind him on every issue. Because I don't think that anybody should ever do that. But, what bothers me is when you feel that his own party is working behind the scenes to oust him.
Yeah.
Because I'm 1,000% convinced that if the party was lined up against him, and from day one had come out and said this Russian stuff is nonsense. And by the way, let's look into all the stuff in Hillary Clinton's background with the uranium deal and Bill Clinton getting $500,000 for a speech in Russia, blah blah blah. It would have nipped all this stuff in the bud. So that's the stuff I find unacceptable. Not that the party has to line up 100% behind the Trump agenda. What I find unacceptable and disgusting is that you feel like his own party's stabbing him in the back. And again, if the party lined up behind him with the majorities they have and the power they supposedly have, there'd be no Robert Mueller, there'd be no special investigation. That would have gotten squashed, immediately.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Okay. Well,
how do you feel about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to it, Brian. It's not an easy question either, and I had a conversation with a couple of people yesterday that can you imagine me in there preparing this pork butt with a knife in hand and gloves on and my phone sitting there on a stand and above the sink, and here I am cleaning this piece of meat. And I just want to stab one of those people very quickly, though, real quick. Beyond joking, but we were talking about this yesterday, and we mentioned it this morning. When's enough? When's enough? When is it enough of the stuff that Trump puts out on Twitter? When is it enough when you have people, I'm just going to use Lindsey Graham and McCain for his examples, butting their heads against the system that's not going to be listening to them a whole lot anymore anyway. And I hate to put it that way, but let's face it, folks, they're not. It's
Well, Bill, I have a suggestion.
Okay, let's hear it.
I have a novel idea here. So all the Republicans that don't like Trump's tweets should go to Trump and say, let's work out art of the deal. Let's work out a deal. And by the way, I don't have a problem with the tweets the way a lot of other people do, as long as they're about politics and issues. But if they find that so distasteful, then they ought to come to Trump and say, okay, let's make a deal here. You stop the tweets, and we're going to line up 100% behind you on this whole, Russian witch hunt thing. And we're going to work harder to implement your agenda.
Right.
We're going to agree with you 100%, but we're going to work with you on border security,
right,
doing the trade and some of the foreign policy stuff. And all we're asking in return is you stop the tweets. So for me, little tit for tat.
The
alternative is if you have your own party working against you, plus the Democrats, Plus, you've got opposition media. How else to get your narrative and your message out there?
Well, I want to take this a little deeper, Brian, if you don't mind. I am getting tired of people complaining. Now, I talk about them in the aspect of content, okay? I'm not talking about him doing them. Hey, free will. He's got the same right to free speech as I do, right? But here's where I come into play. There are certain lawmakers right now I say lawmakers, elected officials. How's that? That they are now talking about how to block all social media outlets and the Facebook messages, Twitter, all these other things that you can send them for communication. They're talking now about clamping down on that, and they're even talking about warning of their fellow legislators to stop the practice of using it. Now, folks, that is wrong. That is censorship, big time. Folks, listen, that is the modern age of communication. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how many personal emails, things like that I do anymore. Most of them, I'll either put them a Facebook message, or I'll send them a message through the phone, either on Facebook or just a direct message through, message. And, so don't tell me that you're going to shut down communication, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Another thing I hate, Brian, on this is the fact that there are people out there that complain every day on Twitter and on Facebook, particularly Facebook, because it's much more used by, the age group. But there's such a battle going on right now about sites blocking people. For instance, we have political parties, local political groups that have the groups, okay? And they have the groups, but no one can post anything except the chairman or a designated person within that group. As a citizen, as a member of any of those organizations, you can't go in and enter things or make comments, bring people up to date what's going on. I can't even put in, my live show and what the topics are. They don't want anybody putting anything in there they don't want to hear. See, that is censorship, if you ask me. They don't want to carry on a dialogue with the group. Let's face it. I bet you every one of us know people that would not stand in front of a mic and complain about something going on. But since we've got this social media, they're letting their words be heard. And I think that's important. You've got people out there before that would not share their opinion on anything, and now they'll share it on everything. And you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to read it. All you got to do is ignore it. You have the right to ignore it, but you're not giving them the right to share it. Now, to me, folks, that is not freedom of expression or speech. And I'm going to go on my bandwagon about that. I am sick of it. I've not said that much about it. But, Brian, by God, if you're not letting people participate in the conversations or bring up the topics to discuss, you're no better than Hitler or anybody else. You put a clamp on their mouth and you will not let them express their thoughts and opinions. All right, that was a commentary.
As we've seen the last 18 months, the establishment thrives on secrecy.
Yes, it does.
Implement their agenda. And what they don't like is people shining up their activity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I had someone the other day say, Bill, I have not seen you at such and such meeting in a while. And I said, well, why should I go waste my time? You know, you ask questions about what y'all want to talk about. You ask questions about guests. You ask questions about issues. And then when I try to send them to you on certain websites and links, you don't allow them to be put down. I mean, why should I come and waste my time and gas if you're not going to listen? Well, we need you there so we can tell you what's going on. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's that one-sidedness that you like. Am I being ignorant, or am I being mean or foolish, or am I on something there, Brian?
I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something, and I think that look again. Trump goes on Twitter because, largely because that's the most effective way to get his message out unfiltered.
Yeah.
Because the media, has it in for him. The Democratic Party has it in for him. The Republican Party has it in for him. Pretty much every fact of the establishment has it in for him. So the best way for him to communicate his ideas is through social media and through speeches. And look, I mean that's just the way it is. And the establishment doesn't like it because it threatens their monopoly on things, on ideas.
They're used to what?
I said the establishment is their narrative out there. They're not used to having competing ideas.
Yeah.
Then with Trump and social media and the internet, you now have the ability where ideas get a real airing.
Yeah.
In ways that they never did before.
Yeah.
Just imagine, for example, we'd had the internet in 1992 when Perot ran.
Yeah. Now, I want to share something with you here. Okay, I just picked up my phone just for a test, okay? And I'm looking at real Donald Trump, which that's him. That's the man, okay? And he reposted something, and it's changing as I'm looking at it here. It's already gone up a couple of thousand. He reposted, military solutions are now fully in place, locked and loaded, should North Korea act unwisely. Hopefully, Kim Jong-un will find another path. All right, this was put up an hour ago, repeated an hour ago, okay? So far, he's got 21,000 comments, 19.5 thousand shares, 49.2 thousand hearts. People like it so much they hit a heart instead of just like. In less than an hour. Now, look. He's getting his audience, is he not?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And he can get the message that he wants to get out.
He's even got Sean Hannity beat by tens of thousands. He's got David Axelrod beat by tens of thousands. He's even got Nissan beat by tens of thousands. He's got Fox News beat by well, let's put it this way. Their latest one that went out 13 hours ago has gotten 369 likes and 920 comments. So, so the man is using a tool that's good for him. And, I'm not going to knock him for using it. I just wish he had changed the tempo a little bit as far as what he says. But you know what? It's his location. I can look at it or not look at it, right?
Right. Correct.
Jeez. The games people play. Well, I tell you what, I'm sorry?
The games are being played, and the people that are most upset are the people that are the establishment that, they don't like it, that Trump's upsetting the apple cart, and they want a monopoly on communications and media. And, now they have competition. Competition of ideas, a competition in terms of the way information is distributed and reaches the masses. And now you have a way in which communication and information can reach the masses without being manipulated.
Yeah.
And distorted.
Yeah. Well, let me throw this out there. let me throw this out here. You know, there's no secret that there is a debate about whether elected officials should, or if they are indeed violating people's free speech rights by blocking them on social media, period. All right? The debate is going on whether to do it or not, okay? Now then, here's the case. And there's there's groups out there right now that are already, you know, filing suits and warning politicians to stop that practice, okay? So, you know, the people are standing up to them. Now then, just like this week, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, sued Maine Governor Paul LePage, I believe his name is, and sent warning letters to the Utah delegation because these followed lawsuits that they have already filed against the governors of Maryland, Kentucky, and President Trump even, because they had messages blocked. Okay? Now then, all I can tell you is this, and I'll agree with it or not, if it's their site, they have ultimate control, just like the ones I was talking about earlier. They had the ultimate control of blocking whoever they don't want to see or hear. They have that right. And you have the right not to listen to or read things that they put out. But by gosh, what does that say and what does that do to everyone's energy, their enthusiasm to get involved, and their communication with you? Look, you don't answer letters. You don't answer phone calls. Now you're going to block me. Do you really want me or care for me to support you in your election or anything else you do? You're not proving it to me. So maybe it's best we just say to heck with you and get rid of you and get somebody up there that will listen to us and will communicate with us.
I'm in disagreement with you on this.
You are? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, you know, you get a lot of, you know, bots and trolls on Twitter. And, you know, what if somebody's, you put out a tweet about something and somebody tells you to go F yourself, or I hope you and your kids die. Mm-hmm. And besides, I'm not even on Twitter.
Yeah.
But you can read other people's tweets and you're not even on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So it's not, they still have, you know, an ability to read, you know, whatever the information is you're putting up. And most of the time when people get blocked from Twitter, it's because, you know, it's because of their behavior. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I do, Brian. I do the same thing. You know, I ask anybody that sends me stuff, please, you know, I want to hear your ideas and your thoughts. But you know what? The profanity is not necessary in the conversation. I do not enjoy it. You know, I will delete it because I just don't like looking at it. But I do want to hear what you've got to say. Okay?
Right.
Now,
but I mean, you know, I'm sure a lot of the people that get blocked, but they're getting blocked probably for good reason. Mm-hmm. Again, they still have an ability, even if you're blocked, you can still read whatever the other person's doing.
Right.
You still have an ability to access the same information everybody else does.
You do.
So, I mean, I just think this is just...
You just got to find another way to comment back.
Right. Well, and maybe you act like a decent human being, and if you disagree. But, you know, don't attack the person personally. And that's why, you know, a lot of average people that have Twitter accounts block people. People get abusive towards it. So I think you have a right to block them. You're not, you know, but again, you still have an ability to get information, to access whatever information is being put up and read every single tweet that person's putting up. You just might not have an ability to respond. Tough luck. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, well, you know, you got people of all ages, race, color, creed, age, you name it, that are just flocking to social media. And it's, you know, the numbers continue to grow by the tens and hundreds of thousands, not one or two a day, every blooming day. And Lord, I don't know where it happened, but somewhere or another, I helped someone a couple of days ago set up some accounts for them and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't even know I had the knowledge in my brain to do that. But anyway, it's all working. And, you know, I am still shocked at the number of people, of seniors that are doing it. I had someone respond to one of my comments day before yesterday, and it was the general of the South Carolina State Guard, and I noticed that, and I hadn't noticed that's who it was originally, you know, some weeks ago when I started getting messages, and here he was, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, great. My commandant, by the way. And so, you know, you just don't know who's out there following you. And you really don't, because, you know, if I see someone says follow, I follow. You know, I don't go check them. Now, there are some I don't check it. I don't follow. I can't believe the number of these raunchy, scantily dressed or not dressed young ladies that I want me to follow them or friend. Delete those suckers real quick. No pun intended there. But it is. And, you know, people, and a good number of those people are going to disagree with what you say or do. And a good number of those people you're going to disagree with. So either you take it for what it is, or you just need to get out of it somehow or another.
Right.
And, you know, I can't think of any better way to say it than that. I just can't. So
I just think it's frivolous. They're filing lawsuits. I think they're frivolous lawsuits.
I think it's ignorant. I think it's stupid and a waste of time. Won't they get the budget taken care of? Won't they get Obamacare taken care of? Won't you get our defense and infrastructure taken care of and quit worrying about social media?
Yeah.
Can I say it any clearer than that?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more that I could add to that statement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's see here. A couple of other issues here that I came across the last couple of days. One before I go off the presidential and White House stuff. You know, once again, I got some comments and stuff, so I started looking it up. And yes, there's still a ton of key vacancies in the Trump administration. I mean, a bunch of them. Now then, I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't have the time to do it. You know, 300, well, I'll just tell you this. 354 of the top jobs have not been filled. How's that? There's a few of them. Now then, here's my question. Is the job being done? Are people taking care of the duties and responsibilities that they got to have? You know, are they?
I think the problem is what I've read is that the cabinet's still 80% Obama people, only 20% Trump people.
Yeah.
So I think it's the composition of the cabinet.
Well, that has a lot to do with it. Yeah. But here is something else, though. If the job is being done, somebody's got to be there leading the ship, don't they? I mean, there's probably managers or department heads, assistant department heads, things like that. And if they're getting the job done, don't worry about it. Seriously. You've got people in charge right now. You got your staff managers. You got the department heads. They're doing the job. It's getting done satisfactorily. Don't worry about it. You know, save those hundreds of thousands of dollars that people are complaining because a spot's not filled. You know, if you got 104, there's 147 nominees waiting in the Senate right now. So, you know, it's not like they're all not being addressed. Half of them are anyway. 147 out of 100, that's pretty close to half, isn't it? You know, oh, wait a minute. My fault. My fault. I read this wrong. I got my notes wrong here. There's 577 top jobs. 354 are currently being looked at and have people in the wings, but only 147 nominees to certain seats have been filled. So there's a lot of spots open. But again, that doesn't change the meat of the matter here. The jobs are being done. So why worry about it? Why worry about it? Maybe there are positions that don't need to be there to start with. Unless you're wanting to pay somebody off for helping or something.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of people, though, in positions that are actively sabotaging him. This is seen with all the leaks.
Yeah, well, you know.
And in the State Department. And so I think he, you know, I don't necessarily, to me, the issue is not about whether we need to have more people working in Washington or fewer people. It's that he needs to have more people that are loyal to him.
Yeah.
That clearly doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It might be time to get involved, have your chief of staff or somebody involved in all this kind of stuff and get in there and find out which ones are loyal, which ones aren't. And if there's a good person there right now that could take that other person's place, can that person, you don't have to have permission to get rid of anybody, can that person and give the other one the temporary position?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess we're going to find out.
There's more than one way to skin a rabbit. You know that?
Right,
and a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So that's just one of those other things I want to bring up today. You know, I want to go back to Donald Trump for a minute, folks. I'm sorry. I got to.
You're kidding.
Yeah, just shortly. No, I'm not either. I want to wait. Let's see what happens. I'm getting off of him.
Okay. I'll make a Trump point. I don't know why in that Alabama Senate race he endorsed the establishment candidate. I mean, hasn't he learned anything? You know, he endorsed Paul Ryan when Paul Ryan had a primary challenge. He endorsed McCain when McCain had a primary challenge. And what kind of thanks did he get in return for that? So he's endorsed another establishment that is Luther Strange.
Yeah.
When you've got other alternatives that are going to do more to work with you, and you have a race that's in a dead heat, so you have a legitimate chance of getting an anti-establishment candidate, you know, in that seat, and somebody that's going to, you know, do more to help you implement your agenda rather than try to sabotage your entire presidency and get you impeached behind the scenes.
Right.
So you would have thought, based off of what happened with the whole Ryan deal and McCain, you would have learned something. So he's making a major mistake there. I think, you know, the sooner Trump realizes that there's no accommodation that can be worked with these people, the better. He's got to fight these people tooth and nail on everything.
Yeah.
You can't surround load your cabinet up with these kinds of people in the hope that they'll work with you and that'll mollify them. You can't support these people in their Senate races or when they have primary challenges because they're not going to lift a finger to help you no matter what you do for them.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to be a more local. Actually, it's not just local. It's a regional issue. The other day, you heard me talking about the nuclear power plant that is in this area, and that they have been working on this thing for several years now, and they have withdrawn the idea of finishing this thing. Now, they've already spent, we're already in the hole, double-digit billions of dollars. We're in the hole for several different reasons. But yet, during the process here, they have found that the top execs and people involved in this project have together garnered right at $9 million in performance bonuses for a plant that is being built that is so far over budget it's unreal. And you have these executives that were getting all these bonuses, and they're saying right now that they're about $10 billion in the hole, and that they are still going to not only keep people's rates the same for their taxes to pay for all this. Not only are they going to leave the rates the same, they're going to raise the rate so they can offset the monies that are lost, that has already been spent. Folks, now, again, this is one of those things that irritate the devil out of me. They could not have just found out they were running $9 to $10 billion in the hole, that they did not have the funds to finish this project. You know, you don't come up with those kind of losses on this type of a project overnight. And I've got to ask, a very stupid question. How in the world do they justify putting out these millions of dollars of bonuses between 9 and 10 million, billion, not million, billion, million dollars. I'm sorry, not $1 billion in bonuses, millions of dollars. Either way, one of them got like $6 million bonus. $6 million. And several of them got right at $1 million or just a tad over. A performance bonus. Now, I know that I'm not the smartest guy on earth. And I do need some help here. I need some help understanding the justification there. I already understand why they're in the hole because of foolish things like this. In my mind, I need help understanding why. Oh, by the way, Brian, you still there? Okay. Dave, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in touch with Candy today and Mike and tell them that you need a 500% of your salary in bonuses. Is that okay?
Sure, no problem.
I still think that comes out to be zero, don't it? I am very, very, very frivolous with my money. Oh, gosh. But, Dave, have you ever heard anything so stupid or so arrogant? Didn't they know that people would find that out?
They don't care. That's the way business works.
They don't care. I could not have put it a better way. They just don't care. They just don't care, and it makes me mad. That's my electric bill that's been involved in this. Duh. We got another big problem going on here, big issue, and this is in Florence County, our school districts. But this goes on everywhere, folks. This still applies to you no matter if this is local or not. This goes on around you where you live. And don't you think for a minute it don't. We got a school board that is wanting to rebuild 5 schools. And, there's no doubt. Let me clarify this. I've been in every one of those schools. They do need some upgrading. A couple of them need some major upgrading. And matter of fact, 1 or 2 of them do need probably to be rebuilt. But the plan they have now is going to raise taxes extremely. Okay? And I'm not talking about just a little bit. I'm talking about big time. And you know, I've seen, I wasn't at the big meeting. I could not get to it the other Monday night, but I've talked to several people, and you know, people, you know, you got to love iPhones. You know, you can take your picture of things, and I have seen some of the plans. And folks, I tell you what, you know, I am all for architecture. I am. But I also face reality. You know, I do not see where a elementary, middle school, or a high school has to be a beautiful piece of art. I really don't. I don't know why a building like that has to be something that could go down in Time magazine as one of the best architectural designs in history. I don't. It's not like it's in downtown Washington D.C. there on Congressional Highway on the grounds there. It's not around the Capitol building. It's not there beside Washington Monument or anything like this. This is a local junior high, middle school. Excuse me, don't call them junior highs anymore. Middle school. You know, junior makes you feel inferior. You're not as good as those in high school, senior high, elementary, middle school, high school. You know, I am sorry. I am sorry. Education, folks, is not about the looks of the friggin' building. Education is about the information that is passed on to these children so they can learn something, so they can make something out of their lives and do the same thing for their children. They can become proper and productive members of society. A beautiful building is not what it's about. It's what goes on in that building. It's the quality of the personnel. It's the quality, I'm talking about the administration. It's the quality of the teachers. It's about the quality of these days, modern instruments they can use for that education. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You know, I do like things beautiful. I do. You know, every one of you that listen to this program are friends of me on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. You know that my wife and I travel the world, travel this country, and we love history. We love the palaces. We love all the beautiful architecture and landscaping we see all these places. And sometimes looks do serve a purpose, okay? Let's face it, it does serve a purpose. But not high school, middle schools, and elementary schools. I want schools where the kids learn. I want schools that have good teachers to teach. I want schools that's got good administrators that can administrate and encourage teachers and staff to do their job properly. Real, beautiful buildings don't solve problems. I know several people that's gone some pretty highfalutin schools that had beautiful buildings, and they're just dumber than I am, and that's pretty dumb sometimes in some areas. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. Children need to be encouraged to learn. They need to have a place to learn. It does not have to be something that looks like Congress. It does not have to look like something that looks like a palace. It doesn't have to look like it's got to be functional, practical, at the least expense that you can do it. That money can be used to pay good teachers. That money can be used to get things like computers and iPads and things like that these people can use in class. You know, we got to remember, this is high tech these days, you know. I know some classes that don't even have books anymore because everybody has a electronic device they use instead of a book. Great idea. I have no problem with that. Encourage it. People learn differently today. The instruments, the tools are different today. But I tell you what, we do not need, will be, I think, fools to pursue my own opinion, folks. I'm going to let it be known. The plan that I have seen that is going to be submitted, that has been submitted to the public for the new school district, the buildings they want to do, the architecture they want to do, blah, 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 needs to be revamped big time. Big time. Big time. Well, we want people to feel good when they come in the building. Turn the AC on. Have good teachers there that can help and want to help these kids. Administrators that want to help and encourage the staff of the school. A school board that wants to help and support the principals and administrators and the teachers and most of all the friggin' students in those schools. Not to build something fancy and beautiful that will have a plaque on it with your name. My own humble opinion. Okay. I will do this, though. I'm going to ask the school board to sit down and take a hard look at what y'all are talking about doing. The plan that you presented is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. And I've got some people I know very well on that school board, and I'm sorry to say this, to you, but y'all have got to have a reality check. You got to have a reality check. And one last thing, and I want to get off that topic. And matter of fact, we're getting close to the end of the 2 hours here anyway. When it comes where to build these schools, when to build these schools, there's one simple answer. It's got several points in it, but it's one answer. Start where they're needed the most. I don't think that's such a difficult answer to understand. Start where you are needed the most. Don't go in with the idea that every school needs to be torn down to the ground. Existing locations, existing buildings may be very suitable for a restructure, remodeling, and reuse, continued use. Now then, West Florence High School. That's the big one over here by my house. That school is one of the ones they say is completely unsafe and needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. Let me put it this way. You're about 50% right, in my humble opinion. Been in that school all through it. It does need a lot of major work, And I'll be honest with you, I think it would probably be a smart idea on West Florence to tear down and rebuild somewhere else. One, because the kids can finish school there while you're building the new one. The second one is that property there is worth a fortune. It is right in the middle of the business district. When you get that new school built, tear that school down and sell that property and use that money to pay the debt of these schools. That sounds too simple, doesn't it? Sounds too simple. All right, I'm through ranting and raving. I'm done for the week. Dave, what else is coming up here next in AmericanPatriotRadio.com?
Dave ran away.
Hey, Michael, how are you, sir?
Hey, Bill. I was listening to your comments about the school system. I do agree. Bill, what's coming up here, we have a really full day, of course, as you know. We have Kids Corner this afternoon at 2 p.m., followed by Happy Hour with Miss Candy, as you know.
Uh-huh.
And then we have Golden Age of Radio tonight.
Yeah.
We also have I Love My Tools, the radio show.
I know the host of that show. He's a pretty decent guy.
Sometimes. You ain't married to him.
And I wouldn't be either. It's a him. No offense, anybody.
It's hard enough to get someone to marry him even if he came with his own tools.
Yeah. I am so glad to see you doing your show, Mike.
Thank you. But, you know, Bill, tomorrow night we're doing, for the first time, a virtual national town hall meeting here on American Patriot Radio at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And we are polling America. And this is massive, Bill, because we're testing out a whole bunch of new communication technology for tomorrow night. May become the standard. So, like a call-in number to you, Bill, that has no PIN number. You know, so people don't have to mess with that PIN. They can just go to the website, see the number, click on it.
That's great.
Yeah. And your guests can communicate with you. People can get in the queue. You can take the callers from the queue, or you can have a round robin. You can bring in 15 people from the queue at once. That line will hold 1,100 people at one time.
I couldn't manage that many conversations.
Well, they can listen to the show then via the phone.
Yeah.
They can listen to the show then via the chat room. They can listen
Outstanding.
to the mobile device, the computer, and stream. It's just really cool. So we're testing all that for tomorrow night. That's what we'll be doing. And when they call in, they will be told that they have called into the audience participation line of American Patriot Radio, and they will be connected to the show momentarily.
You know, Mike, you just gave me a excuse. You know, when Candy or Dave tell me, Bill, you need to learn this stuff, I can now say, wow, we're fixing to change it in just a few weeks anyway.
Well, this is the next step from the basic learning. This is the advanced learning. So, but no, I know how you feel. Just as I begin to understand it, the web but yeah, tomorrow night we're very excited. We have a panel of commentary, commentators that will be assisting me. These are people who are not affiliated necessarily with American Patriot Radio directly, like some of the show hosts are, who will be participating tomorrow night. But we want to know what the average American's thinking, and we're looking to talk to them. We want to hear what's on their mind. What are they concerned about? We don't care whether they're on the left, on the right, whatever. We just don't care about any of that. We want to hear. We want to gauge the psyche of the American tomorrow night.
Right.
We want to hear from them. And I've got some great guests on, people from the entertainment industry who are musicians and stuff. They're coming on. Former mayor of a small town in America. Some veterans who served. A gentleman who was in charge of building the countywide ambulance service for his state.
Okay.
Another gentleman who was in charge of rescuing a lake camper area from the city because they ran it into the ground by not maintaining it to the point where they couldn't let the public go in there and revenue, and they found out it was major revenue for the city. It's a beautiful area up in the northwest.
Yeah.
And so his family foundation took it over on a 2-year contract to rebuild the picnic table, clean it up, and get it viable again economically, and then they're going to hand it back to the city in 2 years.
Yeah.
He's coming on to talk about
great.
So we've got a good mix of people already, but the missing piece is the average American.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a link. It'll be active in about 2 hours up on
Okay.
Radio. There'll be a tab there for the town hall.
Okay.
It will be a recurring event. We'll do them once a month or once every 3 months or whatever we feel there's the melee of what's going on in the mainstream news like it is now. I don't care whether you're on the left or on the right or whatever.
Right.
Everybody is just convinced it's breaking down.
Yeah.
No matter which way they look at it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to talk about. We want to
All
hear
right.
what Americans like.
All right. Well, Mike, I tell you what, I've got a conference I have to be at in Columbia. You know, that's about 2 hours from about an hour and a half from here. If I get out of that conference in time, it is an evening conference. But if I get out in time, I will certainly listen to it as soon as I get to the car and on the way home. And hopefully I can come in and listen to that, because that sounds very, very interesting.
It will have a direct dial-in number, and the direct dial-in number will be 319-527-2482, and it puts you right into the show.
All right. Why don't you give that number again?
319-527-2482.
2482. All right.
Right into the show. So you can do that from a mobile device. You can do it from your computer, your Skype, whatever you can communicate with, or you can just go to the website and listen to the stream live, or get into the chat room and participate that way, and listen to, or on any mobile device you have.
Sounds good.
We're going multi-platform, and I just want to acknowledge somebody, Bill. I want to give kudos out to Candy and Dave and the team that's been quietly working behind the scenes for several months now. We now search American Patriot Radio. It's just 3 separate words, and we come up in the top 3 of every major search engine in the world.
That's awesome.
And it's got us out there. Yeah, and when we come up, it isn't just those 3 words. It says things like online talk radio, mention some of the shows, and in some of the search engines, we are the top 10 responses.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, I remember the day we were just talking about, maybe we should do this.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago?
It wasn't that long.
And we really are getting it together. We're dominating the search engine stuff, and I'm looking at other talk radio platforms that have been out there longer than us. They don't even make the list anymore. We got them off the list. So kudos to Candy for spearheading that project for all of us, and for everyone else who's helped her, giving her the little pieces that she needed from that.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the most important part, I guess, too, is all the folks who keep doing their show every day on the faith that we'll get our act together here behind the scenes, and this is going somewhere. Well, it's happening,
Well, Dave, Mike, what's that old adage? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right, exactly. And now your shows are up on YouTube as a replay every day after Facebook has done cooking them, and Candy shows, and we've got new shows that are in development that'll be launched in September, which would be great. We're getting very diverse. We're going to put out a nationwide cattle call for a show host for a particular, very specific segment of the population, and I'm not ready to go public with it yet, but we will sometime in September. I want to launch a show toward what I believe is the radio underrepresented segment of the American population. So we're going to actively pursue somebody from that group to represent that group on American Patriot Radio. So, and now that we're nailing down the technology for a talk show, getting the no more pin code, no more Octothorpe, no more hashtag toast sign, whatever you call it.
Yes.
They dialed the number they're right in.
Okay, good. Well, folks, as you can see, things are happening here at American Patriot Radio, and I want to thank all of you for jumping in here and joining us. And, I don't think I've been wrong to say, hey, not only would you like to have your opinions on what's going on in the political world, but I would like to have your opinions on what you would like to hear here. on American Patriot Radio. What would you like to see? Where would you like to see us go? In particular, my show. Because, I'm one of the people. I'm out there every day mingling with you folks. And so I want to know what you want to talk about. I want to know what your issues are. And just maybe we can get you to call in or join me live in the studio sometime and talk about these issues. All right. Well, thank you again for everybody being here at American Patriot Radio and in the Pickle Barrel. And we'll see you 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday morning, right back here in the Pickle Barrel, where we're all trying to find a way to get out. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. You've been in the Pickle Barrel with author, speaker, commentator, and show host, Bill Pickle. You are listening to American Patriot Radio.